Death is an illusion because our soul never dies. The story of Brianna Lafferty. Brianna Lafferty was 33 years old when her world changed forever. But long before that fateful day, she had learned what it meant to fight for every breath. Born and raised in a small town in Colorado, she grew up surrounded by the rugged beauty of the Rocky Mountains, where her family ran a modest farm. As a child, she was bright, curious, and full of energy, spending her days exploring meadows, helping with livestock, and dreaming of one day becoming a teacher. But when she was 16, strange symptoms began to appear. Sudden, uncontrollable muscle spasms that would seize her limbs and leave her exhausted. After months of tests, doctors diagnosed her with myoclonus dystonia, a rare neurological disorder that affects muscle movement, causing involuntary jerks and contractions. For years, Brianna navigated life with the condition, managing it with medication, physical therapy, and the unwavering support of her family. She went on to earn her teaching degree, working with elementary school students who quickly fell in love with her warm smile and patient spirit. Though she had grown up attending a local church with her parents, faith had never been at the center of her life. She believed in God, but questions about life, death, and purpose often lingered in her mind. "I always thought of death as an end, a door that closes and never opens again," she later recalled. "I tried not to dwell on it, but when you live with a condition that can be unpredictable, you can't help but wonder what lies beyond." It was a crisp autumn morning in early October when the crisis struck. Brianna was preparing breakfast in her kitchen, humming a tune as she flipped pancakes, when a wave of dizziness washed over her. The muscle spasms she was used to were suddenly far more intense. Her body seized up, and she collapsed to the floor. Her partner, who had been in the next room, found her unresponsive and called 911 immediately. By the time paramedics arrived, Brianna's heart had stopped beating. They rushed her to the nearest hospital, where a team of doctors worked frantically to revive her. For 8 minutes, she was clinically dead, no pulse, no brain activity detectable on monitors. Her family gathered in the waiting room, holding each other as they prayed for a miracle. But while her body lay still on the operating table, Brianna says she was anything but unconscious. "I remember feeling like I was being lifted up out of my own body," she shared in an interview after the incident. "I could see the doctors and nurses working around me. I could hear the beeping of the machines and even make out words they were saying. It was as if I was floating above the room, watching everything from a distance." From that out-of-body vantage point, Brianna says she was drawn into a space that felt unlike anything she had ever known. It wasn't a place with walls or a ceiling. It was more like a realm of light and energy, she explained. There was no sense of time passing. Everything just was. And the feeling, it was overwhelming peace. Not the kind of peace you feel when you're resting after a long day, but a deep, complete peace that filled every part of me. In that realm, she says she felt a presence, one she describes as a higher intelligence or a divine love that knew every detail of her life, every joy and every pain. "I didn't see a physical form, but I felt an unconditional love that made me understand I was never alone," she said. "I realized that everything I had ever worried about, my illness, my fears, even the idea of death, was small compared to the bigger picture. Earthly life is just a chapter, not the whole story." She recalls understanding, in a way she never had before, that her soul was eternal. "Death isn't real in the way we think it is," she said. "It's not an end, it's a transition. Our bodies are temporary, but what makes us us, our spirit, our soul, never dies. It simply returns to where it came from." Just as suddenly as she had been drawn into that realm, Brianna felt herself being gently pulled back toward her body. "I remember thinking, I don't want to leave. This place is so beautiful," she said. "But there was a sense that my work here wasn't done yet. I had people who needed me and a purpose to fulfill." At that moment, doctors say her heart began beating again. Over the next few days, she slowly regained consciousness in the hospital, her family and friends weeping with relief as she opened her eyes. When she began to share what she had experienced, some were skeptical. Even her doctors noted that near-death experiences are not fully understood by science. "Scientists have proposed various explanations," one of her physicians said. "Some research suggests that the brain may replay memories or create vivid hallucinations as it faces extreme stress or lack of oxygen. There's also evidence that living organisms emit a faint bioluminescent light that fades after death. But for many people who have these experiences, they are deeply personal and transformative, regardless of the scientific context." In the months that followed, Brianna's experience changed the course of her life. She began to dive deeper into her faith, turning to the Bible to explore what it says about the soul, death, and eternal life. She found comfort in verses like Ecclesiastes 12:7. The dust returns to the ground it came from, and the spirit returns to God who gave it. And she felt a profound connection to the Apostle Paul's words in 2 Corinthians 5-8. We are confident, I say, and would prefer to be away from the body and at home with the Lord. For Brianna, her experience did not replace her faith, it strengthened it. I used to believe because my parents taught me to, she said. Now I believe because I've felt it. The Bible talks about eternal life, and I know in my heart that it's real. The promise of resurrection through Jesus Christ gives me hope,